Hello, welcome to Blue Ribbon High Performance, telling the stories of high performers to help us get better every day. I'm Nick McArdle. Chris Webb is here. Now, Webb, you've spent a career in high performance. What does high performance mean to you?
Yeah, morning, Nick. Fantastic to be here. High performance, I suppose, is an interesting concept, isn't it? And when we look at it, simply put, it's getting better every day. And I think if I look back at my experience, which I've been fortunate enough over 25 years to have professional and Olympic sport experience through multiple World Cups and Olympic Games and working with high performance individuals and teams, we've got some basic principles that we can apply to different walks of life. And here today we're talking to some rural and regional Australians who are high performers in their own right, and I'm really keen we're going to listen to some stories from some of these guys around how they apply high performance principles to their day-to-day.
Looking forward to meeting our next guest. What's in store?
Yeah, a young guy called Wyatt Young. Wyatt is a camp drafter. Camp drafting is an iconic Australian sport that involves a horse as well as a beast, a steer. And Wyatt's a really fascinating young character who's got a great story, and I'm really keen to hear how he applies his trade to the high performance world.
All right, Wyatt Young, let's go and meet him. Wyatt, welcome to Blue Ribbon High Performance. Camp drafting, just tell us a little bit about camp drafting. What's it all about?
Well, it's a uniquely Australian sport. It came from the bush, and it's the best sport in the world.
How did you get involved?
I suppose grew up in obviously rural Australia, around a little place called Gloucester, New South Wales. In that family, we used to travel to a lot of local towns and camp drafts as when I was a little fella, and when I turned 8-year-old, I couldn't wait to have my first run, and well, the bug got me, and we went from there.
And here we are.
So, mate, camp drafting, obviously a horse as well as a steer. Talk us through the competition and what you have to do as an athlete.
Yeah, so the competition of camp drafting is obviously its background is showing control of a stock, and so we have a yard, or a cutout yard is what we call it in our game, and there's a number of head in there, anywhere from 6 to 8 is the usual rule of thumb. We select a beast. You cannot swap, of course, and if you don't like him, sometimes we'd like to, but we select a cow. We take him to what we call the front of the yard, or the cutout yard. We show control of that beast. When we feel we've got control between our horse and our cow, and we're in rhythm and in sync, we ask the front gateman to open the gates. We go out into a bigger a stadium or arena, as we call it, and we have a 3-circle objective. We have a first peg, second peg, and a gate. And, we must go either left or right, depending on what the judge has set. You complete 2 circles and put him through the 3rd circle between the 2 gate pegs, and we have 40 seconds to do that due to, animal welfare and looking after our beasts. Every weekend we're donated from locals. We thank our cattle suppliers every weekend throughout Australia, like you wouldn't believe. And, it's a great sport.
Yeah, Nick, it's really interesting. Equestrian sports or animal sports, because there's 2 athletes. So there's you, the rider, and also the equine athlete. Tell us how you manage the expectations of both, because a horse can't tell you how it's feeling, right? So how do you connect with both of you as athletes?
Oh, look, it takes a lot and a lot of years and experience, I suppose. But as I've got older and grown up around horses and cattle my whole life, with a stock horse stud, I know no different. You learn to read your cattle, read your horses, mannerisms. When they're not feeling well, when they're feeling great. But we take a lot of pride and care in our horses and our stock. That they're athletes, and we treat them like that. They're on they're on fitness regimes all the time. We have vets or professionals come in to monitor their health, and to have them at their best. To be able to compete at the best level they can.
So you obviously work hard to be the best that you can be, and we're here talking about high performance. What does high performance mean to you in your sphere?
At the end of the day, the old rule of thumb is you only get out what you put in, and that means getting out of bed early, and we work our horses, we train our horses. We do, anyone that wants to be at the top of their game, you research things, you you get help from people that you respect in our industry or that you believe are at the top of their game, and continually just try to do better. Put pressure on yourself, set goals, and just try to be the best you can.
It's a really interesting point around high performance because it is a mindset, isn't it? And so when we talk about high performance, we talk about you can't control the uncontrollables, but we can control how we react to that. In your sport, there are so many variables and so many uncontrollables. How do you get your mindset right to stay, I suppose, calm under pressure to execute when it matters?
Look, you just got to learn to be focused, and that's the biggest thing. Focused at home with your training, with your horses. When you get to competition, you don't worry about the little things. You don't worry about old mate on the fence or down the road that's throwing a bit of flack at you, whatever. You set your goals. You focus on that. You stay driven, and yes, we have a lot of variables in our sport. That we'll never be able to control. But you just got to roll with the punches, and there's always next weekend.
And most high performers, as we know, Nick, always have a little idiosyncrasies here. Do you have any superstitions around your preparation, or is this something that you do constantly? Because consistency is key, right?
Consistency key, 100%. But superstitious things, yeah, my word. If I go to a competition and a horse wins a camp draft in a certain saddle pad or boots or saddle, well, that's him for life. I don't change what works.
It's like Nick wears his red undies to every...
I don't ever have a camp draft run without my mobile phone in my pocket.
Right.
Or a little bit of cash. You always got to have a 10, 20, 50 or $100 note in your pocket. There's
just in case you need
There's
to...
just little things. There's little things over the years we get a little bit funny about, but, whether it ever helps us or not, but we'll never know.
I was actually going to ask you about the science of it. That doesn't sound terribly scientific, but in terms of your preparation, and you say you get things from other areas, what are the sort of things that you're pulling from around the world?
So, we within our sport, obviously it's a cow horse sport, and in my opinion, and I believe a lot of other people will agree that America have been doing cow horse sports fair bit longer than us. So a lot of people in our sport look to America for better training techniques, better performance, pedigrees, all of that sort of stuff. Whether it's right or wrong, we'll never know. But always just looking at someone else who's achieving what we want. How are they doing it? Why are they doing it? Then it comes down to, there's a lot of products and companies in Australia that I investigate on because why are those other top guys using that product or that brand, and could be from for stuff from our horse feed through to antibiotics. It doesn't matter what it is. Do your research, get the best stuff you can.
I think one of the things we talk a lot about in high performance is where we've come from, and the tradition of camp drafting in Australia is an iconic sport, isn't it? Talk us through the history of the sport, because my understanding as a young guy growing up, I had parents and grandparents who did it, and the history of the sport is to work on the farm with the horses during the week and then go to a show on the weekend and do what you do. Talk us through that.
Yeah, look, growing up as a kid around Gloucester, a lot of country where I grew up, physically just cannot be, the cattle can't be mustered or handled without a horse. The motorbikes and ATVs and all the modern stuff we got now, they just can't get there. They can't do the job. So yeah, like back where it started, I believe the first camp draft was held in Tenterfield back in whatever year it was. But horses have been a very influential part of Australia. Livestock, from sheep, cattle, you name it. Without the horses as a tool, we wouldn't have been able to get our job done. We wouldn't be able to get the beef on the plate, for you guys in the city. And, the poor old horse, he's been the backbone workhorse of Australia for years. And he worked Monday to Friday. That was his job. And he get to go and compete on the weekend and show his skills and show how good or bad he is. And, that's where it came from. Where now the industry and the camp draft scene has evolved even in my 21 years of competition. Tenfold. It's unbelievable. The money, the population, it's the value of horses, the prize money involved with our industry and sport now it's mind blowing. Yeah.
Do you regard yourself as pro, semi-pro? I mean, where is that at, and how do you balance that from a from a financial sense.
Yeah, look, my operational business is I'm a professional horse trainer. I campaign, client horses weekend in, weekend out. Very, very privileged to do so. Thank all my clients very dearly. Our competition has evolved to that people like myself can make a living and be a professional horse trainer. Our sport is not set up as a professional or non-professional, which I think is a really good thing, because when we all get there, we're all the same. We all compete with one another. It's really, really, the ABCRA and a number of other camp draft associations is very family orientated. We all have a lot of fun. We all have a bit of fun of a weekend, and we go home and smile on your dial. And what could be better?
In high performance sport, and is competitions a critical part? How many competitions would you do a year? And what does that mean? Because it's not driving down the road or flying to a rugby game, is it?
No, look. So some years I've done. The biggest year I ever had as doing competitions, I did 52 camp drafts in 1 year. Then that might come back to 10 camp drafts this year. But just depending on what's going on, your clients' goals with their horses first and foremost. We set a program where we want to go, what we want to do, but biggest what we want to achieve with your horses and with the sport. So that could mean we could travel 2,500 kilometres to Cloncurry in the middle of Queensland, close to the Territory, or I might travel 1,500 k's south to Melbourne. And then I've actually flown to WA before and competed over there, done clinics, and we've seen a fair bit of the country. But most weekends it's nothing to do 4 to 5 to 8 to 1,000 k's a weekend. Yeah.
When you have that commitment, that travel commitment, you're away for a long time, and I'm interested with that volume year to year, how that changes. Have you got a form line through there where volume affects performance, or?
No, look, that comes back to a management thing. You manage your business and your horses first, competition second, because at the end of the day, without the horses, I can't do what I want to do. I can't achieve the goals for the clients, and our horses, that's all we worry about. That's our welfare and our safety and the well-being of our competition horses is first and foremost. So we program and say, okay, we're going to go away for a month. We might do 3 or 4 competitions. However, when we get home, we give them a rest, say good job, pat them on the back, let them get over. We get a chiropractor to them. I get the vet to them to do a vet check. We give them some supplements and a few things and get them back feeling 100%. And they recharge and we look at the program and we go again.
Good to go.
Mate, as we know, a really important part of high performance is celebration.
Yep.
And recovery is really important too. How do you as an athlete recover, and more importantly, how do you celebrate?
Well, there's always a bit of a celebration every weekend.
Got to stay hydrated.
That's it. You got to stay hydrated, and we often call it the Tui's draft every weekend. But, look, you've got to, even being someone that is, has horses and campaigns and is, I guess, treated like a professional. You still got to be you. You still got to go away and have a bit of fun and let loose and have it, and just take a breath. And we do that, there's times where we might go away for a week, go to the beach or do something, a bit off cuff, but, you just do what you do.
So to bring it all back, Webby, I'd be interested, so I'll get Wyatt firstly and then your thoughts. Give us a couple of principles of your high performance. Like, what are the things that you do, that you have to do, and you have to do because you've got the experience to be your absolute best and at your peak when you compete? Practice is first and foremost. I've tried to go by a couple of little things over the years. You only get out what you put in. You get out of bed late and, you don't want to do too much of a day. Well, you're not going to achieve too much. Get out of bed, get your horses worked, keep fit with yourself as well. By all means, we don't need to run a marathon, but just keep active. My biggest thing with our sport, because we're obviously with a cow horse sport, and everything happens very quickly, alertness and quick decision making is optimum. So I'll spend a lot of time at home with cattle, moving cattle on my horses,
from young horses to my competition horses to stay in focus, stay in the sights of what we need to of a weekend, year after year. It's not something you can just throw away and pick back up. I just try to stay maintained and stay focused. Yeah.
So, Webby, how does that correlate with your principles and what you've learned over the years?
Yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it? I think when we look at the high performance and how we set ourselves up, it has different phases, and the first one's planning, and then logistics of what Wyatt would do is a lot in that. The preparation, and you talked about the training and the practice, and preparation's key. And I think if we can nail our preparation, and focus on the process, and the outcome takes care of itself. Then there's execution, obviously turning up and actually getting the job done. Another important phase is the review process. So sitting back after the competition and finding out, learnings and where we can get better and what might have got
100%.
wrong and how we manage with that. But under all, that's underpinned by people management, because we're only good as the people around us, right? So
100%.
You're dealing with volunteers. You mentioned about the stock providers, mum and dad and grooms, and all these people are involved. And I think if we're utilising our people management at every stage of those phases, and it's really important. The other thing that I was really interested in is this mental skills. So, psychology is a word that can get a bit scary sometimes in sporting terms with athletes, but it's not. And when I look at now, definitely in the sport you're in, where most of the competitors you're competing with every weekend, so you know them, you know the strengths around the preparation of horse, you know the horse as well. The difference is what happens up here.
Yeah.
And so, I'm really interested to hear more around what you do in that space.
Yeah, the biggest thing is you've got to. I don't think it really matters what sport you're in. You've got to learn to be able to block your ears but still listen.
Yeah.
And that takes a lot, and it takes a lot to do mentally yourself. But mental strength is first and foremost what any sport or any occupation, the best of the best are very, very strong. You just, in my industry or game, we'll joke and laugh a lot, but deep down, you've got to brush that off the shoulder and keep rolling. But you make your own luck, and you put the work in, and you commit yourself to our sport. It's not too far off. You don't reap the rewards.
It's really interesting, Nick. There's a guy called John Wooten, who's a very, very famous American college coach, and who's wrote lots of manuals around high performance and mental skills. And one of the things he says is hearing the inaudible and seeing the invisible. And I think there's some of the things that Wyatt's talking about in that arena and competition space. Is that's a skill set that requires discipline, doesn't it?
That's it, and you've got to, with our sport, because there's so many variables that we can't control. The moment that run or finishes, you can't be too worried about the next one. You just go back to the truck or the stables, you just take a breath, you get a bottle of water, you swap ponies, and you look at the next pony and you go, come on, let's do it. You don't worry about what happened behind, you don't worry about the last football game, you don't worry about anything, you just worry about what's in front of you. That's the reason why there's a big windscreen and a little rear view mirror.
I like it.
Like that, mate.
Wyatt, you got a big week coming up here. We wish you all the best. Thanks very much for joining us on Blue Ribbon High Performance.
Thank you very much. It's been great.
Webby, Wyatt, what a great young fella. What are your takeouts from that?
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed that conversation, Nick. He's a young man that's a professional horse rider. And the sport that he does, which is camp drafting, has so many variables in it. Not only is he riding multiple horses, but he involves a beast in what he calls a horse-cow sport. So I think, some of the traits that he talks about around his mindset and his preparation, really, really important. And there's a young man that's so exciting about what's ahead of him and his as a true high performer.
The one for me was just letting go of things that have gone wrong. So that's why cars have the big windscreen and the small rear vision mirror. You've got to keep looking ahead. Like that's something for all of us.
Oh, a great concept. And I think when we look at high performance, our review processes are so important. And he's put it in an analogy like that. And I think when we look at, our preparation and our execution and looking back at that, we always look back to look forward. And this concept of review and the feedback to feed forward, he's got that in spades. And, there's a young man who applies his trade to the nth degree.
And he's got a big future. We will be keeping an eye on Wyatt Young.